Hello, everybody. This episode of the Lewis Sabin video podcast is always brought to you as a huge thanks to Joe Rogan, the Joe Rogan Experience, JRE. His podcast is available on Ustream, YouTube, and iTunes. Without listening to Joe's podcast, I would have never thought about doing this. And now that I am, I will always be indebted to listening to him and getting me to do this at all. He's a very funny man. He has great guests on. They do amazing interviews with amazing people. Totally worth a listen. Please listen to him. I listen to him religiously. Like I said, great guy. Does fantastic interviews with fantastic people. Also brought to you is a huge thanks to Science. The only energy drink I drink. 0 calories, 0 sugar, no crash, no jitters. Does not have that disgusting taste. It tastes fruity and delicious. Science, the original great tasting 0 calorie energy drink. Real energy for real people. The unique formula that gives you the hashtag power to. Science is the only energy drink I drink. Sincerely is the only energy drink I drink. It doesn't have that disgusting aftertaste like Monster and Nos and those things, where you drink them and you have to look like you're having your vinegar strokes after you take a sip. This does not have that aftertaste. This is delicious. Today I'm drinking Frostberry Blast. It's got the new logo on it. And today we're going to be talking about the college ranking. There's been a big shift in the college ranking. We're going to cover, of course, the current Nascar chase. Some things have happened there. We're going to follow the NFL, some big news going on there, as well as a little draft information where I think some people might land. Let's crack this baby open. Okay. First things first. Huge NHL news. I'll cover NHL first and get it out of the way. Connor McDavid, the former number 1 pick of the last season, is out, and I'm quoting their team, long-term for an upper body injury. They've still not given a timeline of when he can come back. I hate to see young people like this go down and be seriously injured, so hopefully he'll be all right, and hopefully he's not out too long because the Oilers absolutely need him. Let me quick cover their schedule. Here we go. Camera's in the way. Last night, November 3rd, Detroit beat Tampa Bay 2-1. There were 9 players with 1 point, and Howard had 29 saves. Dallas beat Boston 5-3. Tyler Seguin with 3 points, 3 goals, and no assists. And Kari Lehtinen had 36 saves. The New York Islanders beat the New Jersey Devils. 9 players with 1 point. Yaroslav Halak had 23 saves. New York Rangers beat the Washington Capitals. I think that's Washington. My brain is in like 5 different places right now, so sorry if I begin to forget who's who. They beat them 5-2. 4 players with 2 points, and Henrik Lundqvist had 32 saves. Ottawa beat Montreal in overtime, 2-1. 6 players with 1 point, and Anderson had 36 saves. Los Angeles beat St. Louis 3-0. 2 players with 2 points. Enroth had 24 saves. Colorado beat Calgary 6-3. 3 players with 3 points. Varlamov had 22 saves. Edmonton beat Philadelphia 4-2. Hall had 3 points, 1 goal, 2 assists, and Nielsen had 20 saves. Columbus beat San Jose 5-2. 5 players with 2 points, and Bobrovsky had 41 saves. Tonight, November 4th, Winnipeg is going to be at Toronto. St. Louis at Chicago. Pittsburgh at Vancouver, and Florida at Anaheim. St. Louis and Colorado will be on NBCSN. It is, since it's Wednesday, the Wednesday Night Rivalries, the team that we love to hate. Thursday, November 5th. Tampa Bay will be at Buffalo. Boston will be at Washington. The New York Islanders will be at Montreal. Winnipeg will be at Ottawa. Nashville will be at Minnesota. Philadelphia will be at Calgary. Colorado will be at Arizona. Columbus will be at Los Angeles. And Florida will be at San Jose. Friday, November 6th, Detroit will be at Toronto. Chicago will be at New Jersey. Dallas will be at Carolina. The Rangers will be at Colorado. Pittsburgh will be at Edmonton. And Columbus will be at Anaheim. And for shits and giggles, we'll do Saturday as well. Saturday, Vancouver will be at Buffalo. Florida at Los Angeles. Boston at Montreal. Toronto at Washington. Ottawa at Carolina. Philadelphia at Winnipeg. St. Louis at Nashville. Tampa Bay at Minnesota. And the Rangers will be at Arizona. Oh, no, there's 2 more games, sorry. Pittsburgh at Calgary, and Anaheim will be at San Jose. That is the schedule for upcoming games. The next game after that for Detroit will not be until Sunday. It'll be at 3 o'clock against Dallas in Detroit. That's the NHL news. Okay, now time to get to NASCAR. I know some people don't like that I cover this, but I just want to quick go over some things. Gordon won last week, so he is definitely in the Final Four. Next week, they'll be at Texas in the Eliminator 8 round. Currently, it's Logano, Edwards, Gordon, Kurt Busch, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr., Kevin Harvick, and Kyle Busch. 2 drivers, are currently suspended. Matt Kenseth, I believe, is suspended, and so is Danica Patrick, being suspended for 2 races. In college football, there's been a shakeup with the college rankings. That's right, Ohio State in the college playoff rankings is not ranked number 1. In the AP Top 25, they are ranked number 1. I'm going to go through the AP rankings first. Then I'm going to go over to the college playoff rankings. In the AP Top 25, it is Ohio State, Baylor, Clemson, Louisiana State University, Texas Christian University, Michigan State, Alabama, Notre Dame, Stanford, Iowa, Florida, Oklahoma State, Utah, Oklahoma, Memphis, Michigan, Florida State, Utah, I already said Utah, Houston, if I could read, Ole Miss, Toledo, North Carolina, University of Central Los Angeles, UCLA, Temple, Mississippi State, and Texas A&M. In the college football playoff rankings, number 1, Clemson. Number 2, Louisiana State University. Number 3, Ohio State. Number 4, Alabama. Number 5, Notre Dame. Number 6, Baylor. Number 7, Michigan State. Number 8, Texas Christian University. Number 9, Iowa. 10th, Florida. 11th, Stanford. 12th, Utah. 13th, Memphis. 14th, Oklahoma State. 15th, Oklahoma. 16th, Florida State. 17th, Michigan. 18th, Ole Miss. 19th, Texas A&M. 20th, Mississippi State. 21st, Northwestern. 22nd, Temple. 23rd, UCLA. 24th, Toledo. And 24th, the University of Houston. In this shakeup, several people that I have been talking to are very upset, mostly because, Ohio State is 3rd. However, I am very pleased to say Notre Dame is 5th in the playoff ranking, meaning if Alabama loses this Saturday, Notre Dame could be moved into that 4th slot. So I am praying that LSU beats Alabama. Let me see real quick if I have anything else written down for them before we move on. Nope. Okay, I'll cover that at the end. College football schedule for Week 10, Thursday, November 3rd. Or Tuesday, I apologize. If I could read it, it would be very helpful. Northern Illinois played at number 24 Toledo. Northern Illinois beat Toledo 32-27. Tonight, Ohio plays at Bowling Green. Thursday, Buffalo is at Kent State, Kentucky State. Ball State is at Western Michigan. Arkansas State is at Appalachian State. Number 6 Baylor is at Kansas State. Number 20 Mississippi State at Missouri. Nevada at Fresno State. Friday, number 22 Temple will be playing at SMU. Rice at UTEP. Brigham Young at San Jose State. Saturday, November 7th, Akron at University of Massachusetts. Florida Atlantic at Western Kentucky. The University of Central Florida at Tulsa. Penn State at number 21 Northwestern. Illinois at Purdue. Charlotte at Florida International. Texas Tech at West Virginia. Duke at North Carolina. Vanderbilt at number 10 Florida. Kentucky at Georgia. Number 5 Notre Dame at Pittsburgh. Syracuse at Louisville. NC State at Boston College. Number 11 Stanford at Colorado. Louisiana Lafayette at Georgia State. Eastern Michigan at Miami of Ohio. Idaho at South Alabama. Colorado State at Wyoming. Virginia at Miami of Florida. Number 16 Florida State at number 1 Clemson. Arkansas at number 18 Ole Miss. Army at Air Force. Arizona State at Washington State. Number 9 Iowa at Indiana. Washington at Maryland. Rutgers at number 17 Michigan. Number 8 Texas Christian University at number 14 Oklahoma State. North Texas at Louisiana Tech. Marshall at Middle Tennessee. Cincinnati at number 25 Houston. Louisiana Monroe at Troy. Utah State at New Mexico. New Mexico State at Texas State. Connecticut at Tulane. South Carolina at Tennessee. Number 23 UCLA at Oregon State. Hawaii at UNLV. Navy at number 13 Memphis. Old Dominion at Texas San Antonio. Iowa State at number 15 Oklahoma. Number 7 Michigan State at Nebraska. Number 12 Utah at Washington. Auburn at number 19 Texas A&M. South Florida at East Carolina. Number 2 LSU at number 4 Alabama. Kansas at Texas. Minnesota at number 3 Ohio State. California at Oregon. And Arizona at the University of Southern Cal. Games to keep an eye out for. Minnesota at Ohio State. Ohio State will most likely run over Minnesota. Auburn at Texas A&M. Texas A&M will most likely beat Auburn. Number 7 Michigan State at Nebraska. Nebraska has had a very tough season. Michigan State runs over them. Let me look here. Texas Christian at Oklahoma State. That should be a very good game. I'm looking forward to maybe catching part of it. Michigan at Rutgers should be good. I'm going to go ahead and take Texas Christian over Oklahoma State and Michigan over Rutgers. Number 16, Florida State at number 1, Clemson. I'm going to go ahead and say Florida State beats Clemson. Clemson has a very good defense, a very good offense. However, Florida State might be able to edge them out. If Florida State should win, I don't think it will be by more than a field goal. I, of course, at noon Eastern Time, will be watching number 5 Notre Dame at Pittsburgh. I have Notre Dame winning. That shouldn't be that surprising. Huge fan. And then at 8 p.m., I will be flipping between Ohio State and Louisiana State. They, of course, are playing at number 4, Alabama. I have LSU beating Alabama. It's going to be the battle between two amazing running backs in Leonard Fournette for LSU and Derrick Henry for Alabama. I have questions about Alabama's offense. They can run the ball, but can they throw the ball? Do they have receivers who can catch it? Now, of course, I'm going to be told by all the people that are on here and by many other sports fans that, of course, Alabama can throw the ball. They can move the ball in succession, and their defense is good. I do not argue with you. However, Alabama is, of course, being hyped up because of the people who do the rankings. The people who do the rankings for this are always in the bandwagon for Alabama. I don't know why. Their argument is because they're in the SEC, they have a tougher schedule. Okay, now I would normally not argue with you because they are in a very tough conference. However, with the exception of LSU, especially this year, they really don't play anybody. You manhandle the teams that you have to play. I'll give you some examples. Let me pull up their schedule real quick. I know they play LSU. I just said that. They opened the year at Wisconsin, where they won 35-17. Then they played Middle Tennessee. So you played an okay team in Wisconsin. Then you played Middle Tennessee. They lost to Ole Miss. Then you played Louisiana Monroe. There's two teams right there that don't do shit. Then you played Georgia. Traditionally a tougher team, but you usually beat them. Arkansas. There's 3. Teams that you should have manhandled and probably did. In fact, look, you didn't manhandle Arkansas. You won 27-14. Texas A&M. There's 4. You manhandled them 41-23. And then last week at Tennessee, and Tennessee almost beat you. You won 14-19. Or 19-14, I apologize, I read that backwards. So, my question is, if you struggled against Tennessee, how are you going to come in and beat LSU? I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it's going to be very difficult for you to come in and beat them. It's possible that you went in thinking you were going to beat Tennessee, and that's why Tennessee was able to put up 14 points. But I still have question marks about your team. After LSU, you play Mississippi State, a team you should handle no problem. Let me see who the other one is. Charleston Southern and Auburn. Otherwise, as I would like to say, 3 teams that aren't really even competing against you. Mississippi State has a good program, but against an Alabama defense, they're not going to be able to stop you. Charleston Southern, I'm not even going to put that one up for debate. And Auburn. Auburn isn't running the ball well. Auburn is playing poorly with quarterback. They have a couple of decent receivers, but their quarterback play is in the toilet. So they're not playing very well. You should be able to handle them no problem. So I'm hoping that LSU beats Alabama. In NFL news, the Colts fire offensive coordinator. Let me find that right here. Pep Hamilton. After firing him, they've promoted former Cleveland head coach Rob Chudzinski to offensive coordinator. Don't necessarily agree with the firing of the offensive coordinator, although we'll see if this actually ends up being the solution to how poorly they've been playing. Tennessee fires head coach Ken Wisenhunt. Ken Wisenhunt is, after a 1-6 start, has been fired. I don't necessarily agree with firing Ken, but I see why. He's had another poor season. They don't have a lot of great players on their team. So I get why he was fired. May not like it, but I understand why. The 49ers have put the final nail in their coffin, I believe, by trading at the deadline Vernon Davis to Denver. Is the Niners season over? Now, along with trading away your best tight end, you have also benched Colin Kaepernick. I almost said Connor. That's not correct. By benching Kaepernick, you bring in Blaine Gabbert. Blaine Gabbert is worse than Kaepernick, and Kaepernick is just above dog shit when it comes to quarterbacks. So it's surprising to think that that's who they think will turn the system around. I don't think it will, but I understand that you had to put somebody in, and that is currently your backup. Trading Vernon Davis was absolutely, positively a giant mistake. Vernon Davis, allow me to double check this information, I believe is like a 3 or 4 time Pro Bowler. Let me see. Of course, it can't just give me that. Hang on. Okay, so let me run down this information. This is coming from Wikipedia. Vernon Davis, tight end now for the Denver Broncos, the National Football League. He played football for Maryland and was drafted in the first round, 6th overall, in the 2006 NFL Draft by San Francisco. Upon entering the league, Davis signed a 5-year, $23 million deal that made him the highest paid tight end at that time. In 2009, Davis co-led the NFL in touchdown receptions. It's not helping. He has 2 Pro Bowls. I stand corrected. He went in 2009 and 2013. He was second team All-Pro in 2013, NFC champion in 2012, and NFL receiving touchdown co-leader in 2009. His statistics as of Week 8 this year. He has 441 receptions for 5,600 yards, 55 receiving touchdowns. He's playing against his brother on Sunday. I'll explain that in a second. So I asked, is the Niners season over? Yes. You've lost Reggie Bush. He's out for the year with an MCL tear. Carlos Hyde is out with a foot injury. I'm not sure if he's playing this weekend. I think he was listed as questionable. They've just picked up Pierre Thomas, and that'll help you in the screen game and running game. He's a pretty good running back. But you lost, in essence, your number 2 runner. That's going to be a big problem for you. Your offensive line's not playing very well. Your receivers are okay. Your defense is playing okay. But you traded away one of your, I'm going to argue, number 1 target at tight end. If you go with receivers, I'd argue that he's probably the number 2 target behind Anquan Bolden. So is their season over? Absolutely. Now my next question is, does Denver go undefeated now that they have a huge, huge weapon at tight end? I say yes. I think that they're definitely going to run over every team they play now. They have somebody at tight end who is fast, who can catch, who can block. He's just that good. So I think Denver will go undefeated. In other news, Johnny Manziel has been chosen to start tomorrow, Thursday night, against Cincinnati. Now, of course, the NFL, a lot of their analysts, and ESPN are talking about how Johnny Manziel had a sad year last year. He only played in like 2-3 games. He had no touchdowns, 2 or 3 interceptions, and he played poorly against Cincinnati. That was a year ago. And if you know me very well, I'm not a very big fan of Johnny Manziel. I personally don't like him. But you got to give credit where credit is due. And this year, he is playing 1,000% better. He's not throwing as many interceptions. He's reading defenses better. He's making better throws. Now, he hasn't played much, so we can't say that he 100%, is better. I think when he came into the league, he was playing probably somewhere around, I don't know, we'll say 10%. He came into the NFL and went, oh crap, this isn't college. And it got to him. This year, I think that he's improved, as I said, immensely. And I think he's probably playing somewhere in the high 80s now, as opposed to last year where, he was in the 10% kind of just there, throwing a lot of picks, throwing a lot of incompletions, not reading the defense very well, getting sacked, running out of the pocket prematurely instead of waiting for plays to develop. And this year, he's sitting in that pocket a little more. Yes, he still will run, but he'll sit there and wait for a second and go, okay, I know that I have targets that I can get the ball to. So I give him a lot of credit. He's matured. You're really not hearing a lot coming out of his camp. Yeah, he had the run-in, was it a week ago, with police. But other than that, he's pretty much not doing any of the partying. My understanding is he's not drinking as much, if at all. Last year, Cleveland, all they talked about was how much he was partying and how much he didn't really care, and he just kind of showed up and was there, but didn't really try. And, this year, I haven't heard anything like that. I've heard that he's showing up to practices. He's showing up to film study. And he's trying to become a quarterback in the NFL. So I give you a lot of credit, Johnny. You've done a hell of a job. Keep on doing what you're doing, and eventually you'll get there. Just look at Andy Dalton. When he first got here, not a lot of people really trusted him. He did okay, but not great. And now look at him. He's in the argument right now for MVP. He's playing fantastic. You're playing him this weekend. Actually, this Thursday, I apologize, which is tomorrow. And, he's gotten it. So you can get there. You just got to put in hard work. If you put in enough hard work and you try, you'll get there. Now, to cover the NFL schedule. As I said, tomorrow, November 5th, Thursday, Cleveland is playing at Cincinnati at 8:25 p.m. only on the NFL Network. I believe Cincinnati will beat Cleveland. However, Cleveland might give them a bit of a run for their money. I think Cincinnati outlasts them, but at halftime I wouldn't be surprised if Cleveland is up. What do I mean by up? They could be up by a touchdown, a point. I don't think it'll be any more than a touchdown, but my guess, halftime they'll be up by a field goal, and Cincinnati will eventually win. Now, I've been giving my predictions lately, and then I look back on it and either go, oh crap, or I go, crap, I forgot what I said. So this time, I'm going to write this down. Sign a clean sheet of paper. Yeah, see, I actually had a script this time. See how much smoother this is going? All right. Quick, write that down. At half. Cincinnati versus Cleveland. Actually, it'd be the other way around, but for shits and giggles, I'll do that. By field goal. There. However, overall, Cincinnati wins by 17. Because they're without Cleveland is without Joe Hayden, the best corner. And I think that's eventually going to catch up to them this week, and Cincinnati is going to be able to hit some of their targets and get in the end zone. So I think Cincinnati wins by 17. Sunday, November 8th, Green Bay is playing at Carolina. Washington is playing at New England. Tennessee is playing at New Orleans. Miami is playing at Buffalo. The St. Louis Rams are playing at Minnesota. Jacksonville is playing at the New York Jets. Oakland is playing at Pittsburgh. The New York Giants are playing at Tampa Bay. Atlanta at San Francisco. Denver and Indianapolis. Philadelphia at Dallas. Chicago, Monday night, Chicago at San Diego. Okay. Green Bay at Carolina. Green Bay's defense is playing so-so. I mean, they're not great, but they're not bad. They got, of course, great cornerbacks. But I think this year Carolina's just got the it factor. I think Carolina wins by 10. Washington at New England. Take an educated guess at who wins that game. New England wins by 20. Say 23. 24. Say 24. Tennessee at New Orleans. Now, Drew Brees is coming off a NFL record tying game with 7 touchdowns and 1 interception. So I think Tennessee loses to New Orleans. So New Orleans, and I think they win by 17. Miami at Buffalo. Now, I need to double check this. Actually, I'll do that right now. Hang on a second. If I could spell his name right. Oh, search him. Come on. Okay. Tyrod Taylor is expected to play Sunday. So, with Tyrod Taylor in, Buffalo beats Miami. They beat Miami by 7. St. Louis at Minnesota. Now, this is a big game for 2 reasons. One, you have arguably the best running back in the NFL in Adrian Peterson. Absolutely first ballot Hall of Famer. Great running back. He's playing against a rookie who is the best rookie running back possibly ever at the moment. Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley is just wowed the NFL. He's done a fantastic job, and I'm really glad that I drafted him in my fantasy league because I also have Adrian Peterson, and Adrian Peterson hasn't done shit. So Minnesota at St. Louis. Let's look at this a second. St. Louis, they have a pretty good quarterback in Foles. They don't really have any great receiving weapons. They have Tavon Austin, who's starting to play a lot better. They lost a couple big names off their offensive line, but they're getting there. And they have a great running back in Todd Gurley. Now, Minnesota's offense has Stephon Diggs, Mike Wallace, Adrian Peterson, Teddy Bridgewater, a stellar offensive line, Kyle Rudolph, Cordell Patterson. So, notice the list there. Minnesota has more weapons. Defensively, St. Louis has Nick Fairley. They have very good defensive ends. They have a decent linebacker in, what's his name? Leonidas. I can't think of his first name right now. They have Alec Ogletree. So, see, they have some weapons on defense. Their backfield's not bad either. But I think Minnesota's defense is just a little bit better. So I'm going to go with Minnesota here, edging them out, but I'm not having them win by much. I think they win by 10. Reason? I think St. Louis brings it to Minnesota. But I think Minnesota's defense has a leg up. The same thing with their offense, has a leg up on St. Louis. So I think Minnesota wins by 10. Jacksonville at the Jets. Jacksonville has a very good quarterback. They have a pretty good running back in T.J. Yeldon. They have a pretty good running back in Shoelace, whatever his name is. I can't think of his name right now. Denard Robinson. I knew I'd come up with it eventually. Their receiving core is okay. Alan Hearns. Marquise Lee, I believe, plays for them. Blackman, who hasn't done anything, which is too bad because Justin Blackman's actually a pretty good receiver. But I have, again, questions about the defense. Are they going to be able to stop the Jets? The Jets may have quarterback woes, but they have Brandon Marshall, Eric Decker. They have pretty good tight end. They have a pretty good rookie tight end as well. They've got Chris Ivory. So I think and their defense is stellar. So I think the Jets edge out over Jacksonville. Their defense makes the difference. They win by 3. So Jets by 3. Oakland at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has been on a slide. They have Ben Roethlisberger back, but they lost Le'Veon Bell. Oakland still has all their weapons. They have Derek Carr. They have Amari Cooper. They have Mike Crabtree. They have Latavius Murray. I think Oakland beats Pittsburgh by 7. The New York Football Giants against Tampa Bay. They win by 3. Atlanta at San Francisco. Atlanta wins by 14. Denver at Indianapolis. Vernon Davis, is now a new addition, as I said, to Denver. They now have a great tight end. They already had a pretty good tight end. Now they have a great tight end. They have Peyton Manning. They've got 2 really good running backs. They've got a pretty good receiving core, and that defense is just lights out. They are tough to stop. And Indianapolis, pardon my French, has been playing like shit. They can't throw. They can't run. The offensive line's been letting people through. The defense isn't stopping anybody. But I like to point something out. Vernon Davis has a sibling, Vontae Davis. Vontae Davis plays for who? Let me click on him real quick. He plays for this team. A certain team that wears blue and white. And used to have Peyton Manning. That's right, he plays for the Colts. I believe he's a corner. Yeah, he's an American football cornerback for the Indianapolis Colts. Was originally drafted by Miami in the first round of 2009. Vontae Davis against his brother. Now, I doubt that'll be the setup because they'll probably put him on Demaryius Thomas. However, if they should line up Vontae Davis on Vernon Davis, that should be an interesting matchup, just the 2 of them standing there. So, I think that they have a decent, interesting, I'll say that, interesting setup there. But I think Denver beats Indianapolis. I think they hang 14 points. They'll be up by 14 at the end of the game. Philadelphia at Dallas. That is Sunday night. So that means the battle of the team that can't win against a battle of the team that can't win. Dallas has Des Bryant back. And Philadelphia has DeMarco Murray. Why do I bring that up? The Dallas Cowgirls had a choice last year. Do we re-sign DeMarco Murray, the leading rusher at the current moment in time, not anymore, sorry, at the time, in the league. Great running back, very shifty. If he has a good offensive line, he's just going to run past you. Or Des Bryant, a guy that doesn't know how to shut up, is very vocal, and has some pretty good catches. I may not like him, but I'm going to argue that, he does have some pretty good catches. He's a pretty good athlete. And they said, we can find another DeMarco Murray. Bye-bye. We're going to sign Des Bryant. How's that working out for you? You have no running back. Your running game sucks. A lot of people are going to argue on that. Well, it looked good against this team. It looked good against teams that don't have a good run-stopping ability. They run all over you. But if you are good at run-stop, they're not moving the ball. Tony Romo is out. They bring in Brandon Weeden, their backup. Brandon Weeden can't throw the ball past 20 yards, we find out. And shits the bed. They bring in Matt Castle. Matt Castle is a very good quarterback. He's not elite. He's not Tom Brady. He's not Aaron Rodgers. But if you're between a rock and a hard place and need a backup, you could do worse than Matt Castle. Matt Castle is working his ass off, and he's just not winning games. Philadelphia let go of Nick Foles. They traded him to the Rams. And in response to that, they got Sam Bradford. Philadelphia traded away their leading rusher, LaShawn McCoy. I still don't understand this trade, to be perfectly honest with you. To the Bills. A team that you have to play, by the way, for Kiko Alonso. They let go of Jeremy Maclin. They're arguably, from last season, their number one receiver. He goes to the Chiefs. They got rid of Deshaun Jackson. He plays for Washington. Your offensive line is missing a few key pieces now. They're injured. And now you have a guy who's torn his ACL, the same one, by the way, twice, starting as your quarterback with DeMarco Murray, Ryan Matthews, and Sproles. Darren Sproles. Darren Sproles, a very electric running back. Very shifty, very fast, great punt returner. Ryan Matthews, somebody who's going to lower his head and run you over. And then DeMarco Murray. And everybody said, oh, watch out for Philadelphia. They got DeMarco Murray. Well, when you have an offensive line, I would argue with you that, yes, watch out for Philadelphia. They got DeMarco Murray. They don't have an offensive line, so he hasn't done shit. In the battle of the two teams that are doing extremely poor this year, who wins? Philadelphia or Dallas? As much as I hate Dallas, I think they win. I think Philadelphia's speed may catch Dallas's defense off guard. However, who's to say that somebody doesn't kick a late field goal? I think Dallas can do that. But they have to know how to move the ball. And Philadelphia's defense is very good. Their corners, not so much, but you can't run the ball against them. So if Dallas can throw, I know it sounds like I'm contradicting myself. I'm just working this out. If Dallas can throw, and they can get Des Bryant, Jason Witten, those guys open, you're going to be in trouble. Now with Castle, you have the ability to have someone who can throw it deep and hit Des Bryant, can hit Jason Witten. I think Dallas beats Philadelphia, but I think it's only by a field goal. Monday night, Chicago at San Diego, because they are jacking it in San Diego. South Park. Chicago lost Matt Forte. They'll be running with Jeremy Langford against San Diego, a team that has to throw. Chicago has a decent backfield in Kyle Fuller. They lost Tillman. He plays for Carolina. I think they lost Conte. I think Chicago wins by 3. Simply because their defense is very good. If they can stop Phillip Rivers from throwing it, which they might be able to do, they'll have a tough time scoring. Chicago, I don't think it'll be a high-scoring game. Their offense isn't much better. However, they do have a couple of weapons. And they got Langford, who's a very good rookie. So I think they'll be able to win by 3. Okay. This is simply an experiment. Something I was working on. So I went to CBS Sports. I should add, most of this information, with the exception of some of the injuries and other things, are coming from NFL.com. Or ESPN. Those are the two main places I get a lot of my information. Anything I said about Vontae Davis or Vernon came from Google search or Wikipedia. Wikipedia is not the best thing to look at, but it's between a rock and a hard place. You're not going to do much worse. Top standouts at quarterback. Paxton Lynch from Memphis, Jared Goff from California, Connor Cook from Michigan State, Cardale Jones from Ohio State, Christian Hackenberg from Penn State, Gunnar Kiel at Cincinnati, Dak Prescott at Mississippi State, Josh Dobbs at Tennessee, Trevon Boykin, Texas Christian, Vernon Adams, Oregon, Jake Coker, Alabama, Everett Golson, Florida State, Rudick from Michigan, and Joel Stabby from Wisconsin, and Kevin Hogan from Stanford. Now, I looked at some of these quarterbacks. I kind of went through some of the things they can do based on team style, the ability to throw. Are they a running quarterback? Are they a throwing quarterback? Etc. So Paxton Lynch and Jared Goff. I honestly know nothing about either of them. So I have them kind of in the same category of, they were obviously on this list, so they must be either a good quarterback, but I don't know much about them. Connor Cook from Michigan State. Where could he go in the draft? So I started thinking, what quarterback plays for what team, and what team needs a quarterback? I thought of two teams. I only have one written down. I'm going to write the other one right now. And that is both of the Mannings. So the Giants and Denver. They could use, one more quarterback. You never know when either of them could retire. You never know if one of them gets hurt. And you'd like to have a rookie quarterback or a backup, in either way, that can step in and do a hell of a job. Connor Cook could be that guy. He could go into Denver. He could go into the Giants. And he could probably perform pretty well. He's a very good quarterback. I mean, considering the fact that he only has like 3 receivers and a young offense and a young, 2 young running backs, he's doing a pretty darn good job. Another person I thought that could go to the Giants is also Christian Hackenberg. He could also go to Denver. He's a pocket passer. He's got a wicked arm. He's very good. I have him either going to the Giants, the Rams, San Diego, or Denver. The reason I put San Diego on that list, same thing with Phillip Rivers. You don't know when he decides that he might want to be done. Yeah, sure, you just signed a new contract. What happens if he gets hurt? Who's your backup? I actually don't know who their backup is. Wouldn't you want someone young, ready to go as your backup? Have him sit under Phil. Phillip Rivers is a very good quarterback. Have Hackenberg sit underneath him for a year, 2 years, 3 years at the most. Learn the offense. Learn what Phillip Rivers knows. You'll have yourself a franchise quarterback. Cardale Jones. Now, I don't think he'll go to San Diego. I don't think he'll go to the Rams. I think Cardale Jones is going to go to one of 2 teams. He's either going to go to the Niners or he's going to go to Detroit. Why do I say that? Detroit needs a quarterback. Matthew Stafford has turned out to not be doing so well. Now, I agree that Matt Stafford also needs a better offensive line. But if we were to go after a quarterback, Cardale Jones would be a decent pick. He's got a good arm. He's got a lot of power. Needs a little work on his reads, a little work on putting a little more touch on the ball. But he's a pretty good both-handed quarterback. If you need him to, he can take off. But he's also got a pretty good arm. Dak Prescott from Mississippi State. I have him possibly going to Washington. Not that Kirk Cousins has done a bad job, but you could use another quarterback. You could use someone who you can absolutely 100% depend on. And Dak Prescott can run, he can throw. I figured he works great with that system. That could be perfect for him. Trevon Boykin, I have him either going to the Niners, Washington, or Detroit. Again, very option heavy, good with the option, has a pretty good arm, and he's got speed. He used to be a receiver, so you know he can run. I think that'll depend on who's got the first to third pick, somewhere in there, if they need a quarterback. Vernon Adams Jr. from Oregon. I have him possibly going, again, depending on what they decide to do at quarterback, Detroit, or Washington, because, again, option heavy, great with the option, and he has a pretty good arm. Jake Coker, I have him possibly going to San Diego. They might draft him. I have him going probably about the third, fourth round because, well, first he was a transfer into Alabama because that might be what they wait on. You know, Hackenberg might go to the Rams. I think Hackenberg's a first, second round pick. Early second round, late first round, depending on what team has what. Jake Coker could be, let's say, for shits and giggles, San Diego goes, we don't need a quarterback right now. Well, we could use one, but we really don't need him. We need receivers. Boom, first round, you grab a receiver. And then you go, second round. We need this offensive lineman. Third round. We could use a backup. That's when you go after Jake Coker. Late second, early third. Somewhere in there. Maybe even in the middle of the third round, you go after him. Somebody who's not bad, but needs a little work. Everett Golson. And no, I didn't pick him because he used to play at Notre Dame. He was honestly in this top list of people who could go. I have him as the Niners, the Rams, and a shocking Chicago. Right now, backing up. Let me double check my information before I say that. I believe backing up Jay Cutler, yep it is Jimmy Clausen. Jimmy Clausen is not the guy you want backing up your quarterback. I'm sorry, but he just isn't. Not to say that Jimmy Clausen is bad, it's just that, not the best choice. You could get Everett and have him sit. Again, one of those where you don't need to play right now, but you can sit here for a minute. We'll work on things. Work on the pass. Work on the ability to roll out of that pocket. Work on, again, like I said, accuracy. He's got really good power, but accuracy's a little off. All right, sit him down and work on that. Another quarterback on here is, I think his name's Jake Rudick. He plays for Michigan. Now, at the beginning of the year, I watched the first Michigan game, and I think my reaction was the same as every Michigan fan. And I'm not a Michigan fan. And that was, oh, brother, here we go. This is going to be a long season. And he's gotten better. He started off as subpar, and now he's in that conversation of, holy shit, who's this kid? And part of that is Harbaugh. Absolutely, part of that is Harbaugh. I have him possibly going to Baltimore to be a backup, or Chicago. Again, really good arm, but doesn't have to play right now. You can put him on the bench and just go, we'll play you when we're ready. And slowly get him in there. The other quarterback I have on here is Joel Stave. He is, of course, from Wisconsin. I have him either going to Washington, because, like I said, Washington needs a quarterback. If they decide to go pocket passer, you could get Joel, New Orleans, or Chicago. Possibly even Detroit. Again, another one of those guys, he's not going to go in the first round. He's probably not going to go in the second round. Third, late third, probably fourth round, most likely fourth round. Somewhere in there. Good quarterback, but you're not really top talent. You're kind of just there. But again, my argument for this every time is, especially with like Detroit. Yeah, We could use another quarterback. We need a backup for sure. Minimum backup. Okay. Well, we really need offensive line too. Okay. So first round we won't go after quarterback. We'll go offensive line. Second round, offensive line. Third round, what do we need? Well, we could use defensive line. We could use somebody in the backfield. And we could use a backup quarterback. Third, fourth round, you got to have that quarterback question in the back of your mind. Who's there? Who do you have? Who can we go after? And I think Joel Stabby would be a decent pick in the fourth round. For Detroit, for New Orleans, for Chicago. Now, if you have, let's say, 2 picks in the third round, and one is 26, and the other one's like 18th, you probably want to go, if you need receiver, that 18th pick in the third round, probably a receiver. Receiver, running back, linebacker, something like that, that you might need defensively or offensively. But that second pick in the third round, again, I don't know who got what pick at the moment. Season's not over. That's why I don't know. You look at quarterback. That would be a good time to pick him, or like I said, fourth round. The last quarterback I have on here is Kevin Hogan. He's from Stanford. Again, Giants, Denver, New England, or Detroit. He's got a pretty good arm. He's got good ability. He can read. He's got really good footwork, decent footwork. Part of that might be the team he's with, too. You never know. And, you got to ask the question of, where does he go? He's a guy that I pick, again, third round, fourth round, backup. You put him in there with the Giants and let him sit under Eli. Put him in there with Denver. Now, Denver, my personal belief is Denver needs a starter. You need someone who can start right now. So maybe you don't give them Kevin Hogan. Maybe you go after Jake Coker, Connor Cook. Someone who you can go, I think you can start right now. Because who knows, Peyton might not be there. I personally think Peyton should retire. I love Peyton Manning, but you know what? You're getting beat up. Getting up there in age. You really can't get seriously hurt. It's just not a good idea. So maybe you start looking at someone who can take over. That might be a good pick for the Niners even. Again, depends on what they want to do. I'm not entirely sure. You want a drop back guy who can sit in the pocket and throw? Kevin Hogan would be a good choice. I went with New England because, again, same thing. We have Tom Brady. Sorry, I have an itch in my eye. That's everybody's argument. We have Tom Brady. But you're not going to have Tom Brady forever. He's getting up there in age too. I'm sure he's thinking about retirement. Yeah, sure, he loves football. He loves what he's doing. No argument. He loves what he's doing. But you got to ask yourself the question at some point. How much longer can I do this? Look at Brett Favre. He tried to stay because I love the sport. I love how much fun I have. Look how beat up he is. You don't want to be like that. Now, I know Tom signed a contract to play at least, or he said he wants to play at least until he's 40. So that brings up a question. How old is Tom Brady? I actually don't know. Let me Google it. Google says that he is 38. Assuming that he says 100%, I'm playing until 40. That's 2 years from now. How do you, it's one of those where you sit there and you go, you got 2 years. Now would be a good time to be looking at that quarterback situation and go, who do we got? They have Jimmy Garoppolo. I haven't heard good things about Jimmy Garoppolo. I hear he's not doing so hot. Again, young quarterback. Hasn't really played, but he didn't come from a very big school either. So maybe you go after somebody who's a little bit bigger name. I would laugh if they got Rudick. Why? Where's Tom from? The University of Michigan. Where does Rudick play? The University of Michigan. So that would be kind of funny. At least I'd laugh. And, maybe that's where they go. I don't know. These are my predictions. I don't know what is what. I don't know who's got what pick. I don't know who's going where. It's just my thoughts. Just what I'm thinking. I realized I'm like this talking to you. It's probably better off if I sit back. That's the podcast for today. As always, we are brought to you as a huge thanks to Joe Rogan and the JRE, the Joe Rogan Experience Podcast. It's available on iTunes, Ustream, and YouTube. We are also brought to you as a huge thanks to Science, the 0 calorie, 0 sugar, no crash, no jitter energy drink. The original great tasting 0 calorie energy drink. Real energy for real people. The unique formula that gives you the #power2. I am not sponsored by either of these companies. However, I am a huge fan. If they wish to sponsor me, that would be fantastic. I'm just trying to get their name out there. In the case of Science, it's because they didn't have a spokesman for forever, and I thought maybe I'd try. Gotta give me credit for at least trying. That's most of the news today. Not a lot going on, really. Trade deadline for the NFL was today? Yesterday? It's either yesterday or today. But, no big trades going on, except for Vernon Davis. And that's that. So you guys have yourselves a wonderful afternoon, evening, morning, whenever the hell you watch this. Bye.